For me, the regime ended with Pope John Paul II's first visit. And the Great Mass in Krakow, in this huge field in the middle of the city, in front of 1.5 or 2 million people. The Mass is a great memory, but the march to it was even more impressive. They had stopped cars 20, 30, 40 kilometers around the venue for security and organizational reasons. So people were walking in great numbers. We all shared the same experience. It was not just personal. We were all on the same side. The regime became meaningless. But it lasted for a while, of course. Then things became more complicated. After the state of war, some remained close to the regime to protect their interests. So this great period of Solidarność that followed the Pope's visits, this sense of national unity that erased the feeling of division among us and them, us being everyone, and them being the regime that inspired our hatred, that feeling changed completely. There was us and those who took advantage of the situation. And it's still the same today. Because in Poland, communism dissolved into a kind of uncontrolled Soviet-style liberalism, which ended in 1989 with Mazowiecki. As the authorities realized that nothing was working, there was a state of permanent crisis between the end of the 70s and 1989. They decided to start liberalizing a little, allowing private activities. In the 60s, having a poultry farm and selling eggs, beyond the 6 eggs you were allowed to sell on the local market, not at an industrial level, but let's say if you had 500 chickens, you were considered to be an awful capitalist, risking God knows what. Some people did that, made a fortune in a few months, and vanished into thin air to start something else. However, in the 80s, when the authorities started their small-scale reforms, and authorized minor private activities, the first to benefit from it were those linked to the regime who did not fear any legal limbo or arbitrary decisions from civil servants. So that's the economic aspect of the reforms. This is important because people had lost their entrepreneurial spirit. It then led to a lot of issues which are still present today. That was another element of the end of the 70s, the feeling of a downfall, the end of the system. By starting any kind of business, even a very small one, you realized that you could make a living without hurting anyone. And it worked, whereas nothing else worked. And people could see that. For most people, the Berlin Wall is a symbol. For me, it's linked with bad memories because I've crossed it, by car and train. This was an unpleasant experience, particularly when you had unauthorized books in your backpack. There were elections in Poland on June 4th. The last communist government with Rakowski had not delivered, had not kept control of the situation. Then this unexpected event occurred. Mazowiecki arrived with the first non-communist government. Even though there were 4 communist ministers, there was no turning back. We realized that if the Soviets had accepted this, it was because there was no alternative. It was not due to Gorbachev's willingness. In the West, people love good Tsar and bad advisor stories. But if they could have prevented anything from happening, they would have done it. Let's not forget that Gorbachev, who had undeniable qualities, had sent tanks against the Lithuanians in 1991 when they declared their country's independence. And he had people killed. He let things happen because he couldn't do anything about it. In the summer of '89, the Polish people had understood this. So for us, the fall of the Berlin Wall was an episode in history.